kind of properties?
Well, we had occupied properties, and we looked at the zip codes where most of the activity took place. 48221, 48219,
Are those Northwest Detroit?
Northwest. The three zip codes which are adjacent to each other, 48221 and those just west. And then there's a couple on the east side that were real active.
Okay.
We sold 2,086 properties, and about 900 of them were occupied.
Wow.
So, well, the good side is that we did well in the auction, but also the bad side is that some people lost their properties.
That is always a bad side.
We had over 31,000 people, though, in payment agreements this year.
Really? Well,
So
that's a good thing.
many people responded to our message.
Well,
get in.
I've had people on the show to, tell them to call in about their taxes because they can, let's collaborate. Let's talk about it because some arrangements can be made,
Right,
and
right.
some people may.
People are doing really well. Actually, we're doing much better this year than we did in the years past in terms of saving the homes.
Right.
But still, there's always some that lose their properties. And
why do you think that is? It's not knowing to call in or just afraid to call in?
I think there are a number of seniors who don't have help. And that's one of the things we find. There are a number of seniors that don't have family. The neighbors don't know what's going on with them. The people in their church don't see them. They don't know what's going on. So a lot of times they make mistakes, and they make honest mistakes. And sometimes we try to intervene and help them, but sometimes it's too late. They may think they're paying their taxes in full and may only pay partial payments. They may not understand that the city taxes, the current taxes, are different from the delinquent taxes. And so if you go to the city to pay your city taxes, the city taxes are owed, so the city's going to take the money. And then you say, well, I paid my taxes. I'm okay.
But it went to the city.
You went to the city for your current taxes. You didn't pay your delinquent taxes, and we're foreclosing on your delinquent taxes. So some of those things happen. And sometimes we try to help, and sometimes we've had to cancel sales because people have made just honest mistakes. Sometimes we've had to take the properties out of the auction because they shouldn't have been in the auction in the first place. We make mistakes too. Sometimes we make mistakes, and the person should have not been in the auction. But there are a number of people who go through the foreclosure process. We never hear about them. They lose their properties, and then you wonder what happens to them. Because if they had family members, they should have been helping them.
Right. Well, sometimes the family members don't know. I found that out as I've, been in this for a while. I found out sometimes the family members don't know. Now let's talk about the auction that's coming up. The auction.
The first, let's talk about the first auction. The minimum bid was all the back taxes that are owed. So that was if you owe $10,000 in back taxes, the minimum bid is $10,000.
So I could get a big house for $10,000.
Well, that's the minimum bid, though. Since you got competition out there.
Oh, I forgot.
So
there are
sometimes
other people.
you may end up, the house may go for $50,000, $60,000, even $100,000.
Oh, really?
Because of the competition. There's a lot of bidders.
So people, so they can pay that $10,000. That's done.
That's the minimum bid.
Right.
And then the second bid, it just goes up.
Well, what I'm saying is, say if $10,000 of back taxes are owed, and somebody pays that $100,000 because it's been bid, they've been bidding. So they still get a property that's worth a lot more many times, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Not, so that's the minimum bid on all the properties or some
on all the properties in the September auction is all the back taxes that are owed. Whatever the balance is, that's the minimum bid. Now, in the October auction that's coming up, the minimum bid is $500.
$500?
Yes.
That's all?
That's the minimum bid.
I know, but
yeah, usually it goes much.
Some people have that under their pillow.
It goes it goes much higher though.
But I'm sure the competition for that is.
It's pretty fierce. Sometimes.
Yes, it's fierce. It's fierce. So this is it an online property auction?
It's an online auction. This is the 5th year it's been online, and this is the 2nd year in a row that the Wayne County Treasurer's Office has conducted its own auction. We've done it in-house for this year and last year, and we've saved the county over $600,000 last year. This year we expect to save over $800 because we didn't have to do the development. We've already developed the system. So we're going to save the county almost $1 million by doing the auction ourselves.
Okay, so what if I'm interested in property?
Well, today is the first day you can register for the October auction, October 2nd. You go to WayneCountyTreasurerMI.com. That's WayneCountyTreasurerMI.com and register. You have until October 8th,
To register.
next Thursday, to
And-
register. And you have to be registered. If you want to bid on one property, it's $2,535.
That's the registration fee?
Registration fee, the deposit
The deposit.
for to bid on one property. If you want to bid on multiple properties, it's $10,035. And the deposit is refundable fully if you don't win anything. If you do bid on a property and win, that deposit is applied to your purchase.
Oh, okay. Now, where can I find the properties?
They're online. Once
And
you
so
want
we could go online,
and see the list,
see the
do a
list.
little homework.
Do they have any pictures?
Some of them do have pictures, not all of them.
But
some.
if do they have addresses?
Yes, addresses and legal descriptions. And we
Okay.
advise people to go out and look at the properties.
That's what I was gonna say.
Do your due diligence, go out and look at the properties, because we get a lot of complaints every time someone says, I thought this was a wonderful house, it was a nice house, but it's burnt, fire damaged. They may have made a mistake. Maybe it got fire damaged in the process and over the time that they looked at it.
Between when you looked at it
and when you purchased it.
the
So
actual.
you have to do your due diligence and go out and look at the properties, because we have a lot of bidders who may hire someone locally to bid for them, but they live out of state or out of the country.
Are there commercial properties too?
There are some commercial properties, yes. Actually, there's some ongoing businesses that sold in the auction, and it's hard to believe, but some
What do you
people
mean?
didn't pay their taxes. They're running a business,
Ah,
and they owe $7,000 or $8,000 in back taxes, and for some reason, they didn't pay their taxes, and the business got sold when the business is operating.
oh my goodness.
So,
Are people generally surprised that they're?
yeah, of course, they come in surprised. I mean, I don't know.
I'm sure they got a notice.
Something happened internally, probably in their operations. Either the person in charge of paying the taxes didn't do it, or one of the relatives didn't tell them about the notices, or we hear all kinds of stories, and most of them are true. It's
Yeah.
just people just not taking care of business.
Yeah, and that's something we have to really learn about, especially in our community. Take care of business. Open your mail.
Open your
A
mail.
lot of people don't open mail.
I know. Ask questions.
Right.
If you don't know the answer, you gotta ask questions.
Wow.
Because when we send out 72,000 notices for foreclosure last year.
72,000 in
72,000
Wayne County
Wayne
alone.
County alone. 92% are in the city of Detroit. So when you send out that many notices for parcels, some of them are vacant lots, but people need to realize that we may make some mistakes, but don't ignore the notices. Because we had some cases where people only owed $500 for 2010, for instance. They thought they'd been paying their taxes every year on time, but they had a 2010 bill that they didn't pay. House went to foreclosure. So
But there's a warning first. You all
Oh.
send out a letter.
we send out notices every 120 days. And we put a little yellow bag on the door telling, foreclosure and pending. So we do a lot of work to let people know. But still, some people just either don't pay attention or they just don't follow
So you
through.
have how many properties available this time?
This time in the second auction, over 25,000.
Wow. Well, you hope to get more than that 2,000. You got 2,000.
2086 we sold, but we raised $33 million out of that 2086.
Really?
$33 million.
Oh, wow.
And even though we had to cancel some of our sales for various reasons, but when it's all completed, we have a little more than 32 million for sure.
Well, that's great because
Yeah.
the county definitely needs it.
County needs money. The cities get some of the money. The school system gets money.
Oh,
so everyone does benefit from the sale, from the auction proceeds.
And people have to know that all the sales are as is. I don't know why. Sometimes I've heard people say, well, when I got there, it was such and such. Well, that's the way it was when you saw it in the first place, right?
It's as is. And you can't go inside, especially occupied properties. Of course, you're not going to go inside and see what it looks like. We get complaints, though, from people who are in the homes saying that someone's walking through my backyard, looking in my windows, and what's going on. Sometimes that's when they find out their property is in the auction.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We have a number of residents who come in and say, well, I didn't know my property was in foreclosure till someone was out taking pictures of the house, or they were knocking on my door asking, can I come in and look at the house because it's in the auction. So, of course, they almost have a heart attack when that
I
happens.
know I would.
And
Yeah.
they come
yeah.
in and, say, what can I do? And sometimes it's too late. If the auction's over or if it's people are bidding on the properties, then it's really too late to pull it out.
So if a person doesn't have a computer in their house, they can go to the library.
They can go to the library, or there are people out there that do this for a business. They will bid for other people.
Really?
Yeah.
So how does that bidding process go? Explain it to me. So I've registered, and then on what's the day that you can start bidding?
You can start bidding on the 8th.
On the 8th, next Thursday. So, I've registered, I put my 2,500 down because I just want one property, and I saw this property. So I saw this property I want. Okay, so what do I do?
You go to the screen, they'll tell you where to go and put your bid in. And you can also put in what they call auto bid, automatic bid. So say, for instance, you're willing to spend $20,000 on a property. You would put an auto bid in for $20,000. So you don't have to go
Keep
back.
on doing it. It will
Automatically bid. Every time someone bids, your bid will go the next increment up.
Now, does that have to be cash money?
It can be through wire transfer.
Well, what I'm saying is, so nobody could finance a house that they buy
No,
on auction.
not through our office, no.
Uh,
They have to pay us, yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You have to
I
go
was
to
just
pay.
making, I was just making
Yeah.
sure. In other words, they can't just say, go to their bank, they got good credit.
Well, they
and-
might be able to go to their bank.
That's what I
Yeah, the
meant,
bank can
not
finance
through
it.
you.
Right.
Not through you. I was just
As long as we
saying.
get our money, we don't care how they finance it.
I don't care how we get it. We just want it. I know.
yeah.
I understand that. I think some people, there are a lot of people who are looking for properties to fix up, and they have the skills, and that's what I admire so much, are the people who have the skills to fix up these properties, to redo these bathrooms and kitchens.
There's some really, really skilled contractors here. There's a couple of ladies that I know. They are experts at fixing up buildings. I mean, one woman bought 2 apartment buildings in the auction. She said, well, that's across the street from the school. I don't have my deed, but we gave her permission to board up the property without having a deed because it's across from the school. She said, I have a good track record. I have those places done in 8 months, and usually the people who know what they're doing can fix up property pretty well. They have good
Wow.
crews, and she was one that employs a lot of the unemployed, ex-offenders, and
Well, that's
doing
good.
good things in the community. So you like to see people doing that. And
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. So this is not only in the city of Detroit, what other cities?
well, it's
are-
43 municipalities in Wayne County,
Yes.
and all of them have some foreclosures. I think all of but maybe 2.
Really?
But, yes.
How did those
but,
2
but,
get
I mean,
out of it?
You have a small, like Livonia, for instance, where they had 12 or 13, and other cities like Grosse Pointe may have 2 or 3. But Detroit has 92% of the properties. And then you see a lot in Highland Park, Inkster, Taylor, Ecorse, River Rouge.
Well, I know Highland Park has some beautiful old
Yeah.
homes, some beautiful, beautiful old homes. And so you could, I'm going to go back to that bidding process, because a person like me, I don't understand. I could never, I've seen auctions on television, but I just don't know how to do it. So you say that I could automatically
You put an
bid.
auto bid in
Auto
and
bid.
put your amount there. And then
Okay.
if it gets to your amount, for instance, say you want to change your mind later,
Yeah.
you can go in and change it. Or you
Oh,
can,
I
You
can.
can switch to it manually once it gets to your
Well, does
bid
the
amount.
county check and see if I have that 20,000 before they?
No, we don't. But we give you 24 hours to initiate your payment. Because we say initiate your payment because if you do a wire transfer, sometimes it takes longer than 24 hours to pay. Wire transfers used to be instant. But
Yeah.
because of all the Homeland Security issues, they check in to see where the money comes from, and therefore is more stringent today to do a wire. It takes longer to do a wire transfer than it used to. So we have to
Oh.
give people more time because they try to wire money to us from, say, overseas or even
Oh,
across
that's-
the state.
That's what I was going to ask you.
It takes-
Overseas.
It takes time.
At times like this, because I've heard that a lot of people overseas are buying properties and I heard this from a realtor. A lot of people are buying property in the Detroit area
Well, here's what happens.
from overseas.
It's hard to tell who's buying until the deeds are issued.
Oh, really?
Because the bidders that are registered, majority of the bidders are from Michigan. We did a percentage, looked at the bidders, and this year we required that anyone that was from overseas had to have a United States mailing address, because we had difficulty contacting people and sending these to these foreign addresses.
Okay.
So we said, if you're going to bid in this auction, you have to have a United States mailing address. So most of the people who are bidding from overseas have hired someone locally to do the bidding for them. So you can't really tell if anyone from overseas is buying property until the deeds get issued. Then they put the deed in the name of the buyer.
Why do you think people do that? I mean, buy up a lot of property over here and they're from overseas. Do they plan on coming here, fixing stuff up, or they're just holding on to the property? What do you feel happens?
I think people are just investing their money. Rather than letting it sit in the bank, they're trying to turn over money, using the properties. That's usually what happens. They're investors.
So if people buy a property, do you all look at their progress on fixing it up? Or
Well-
you just let them go and,
Well, we have a provision this year that we didn't have in the past, and that was that the new buyer has to pay the summer taxes, 2015 summer taxes, before they get a deed.
okay.
So that means now they're even more invested in that property. So we work with the city too on blight issues. The city is writing a lot of blight violations to these buyers who buy property and don't do anything with it. So we don't issue blight tickets, but we had in our deed, we have a reverter clause, which says that if you don't pay the taxes, and if you don't secure property that's open to trespass, and if the property needs to be demolished and you don't tear it down within the 6 months, then we can revert that property back to Wayne County.
Oh, okay, that's kind of good to know.
So we have some properties in that owe 2014 taxes, which may get reverted December 8th of this year if they're not paid. But
December 8th is what kind of day?
This is that's just the date we have set for the December 14 tax, the 2014 taxes.
Okay, so they have to, okay, that's for the 2014.
If they bought it, say in 2012, they paid their 12s, they paid their 13s, but they didn't pay the 14s, then the 14s will cause them to lose their property if it's not paid.
Okay, so you're saying if I buy my property this year, if I win a bid,
Right.
I have to pay the 2015 summer taxes, right?
Right.
Now, you don't care about the winter tax.
Well, the winter taxes are going to get collected by the city,
Yeah.
but it's usually it's a much smaller amount.
Yes, it is.
So we're helping the cities in that we're getting more cash flow to the cities.
Oh, that's
And
wonderful.
we're collecting the taxes
That's
before
good.
the city.
It hasn't always been this
No,
way.
it hasn't been. Well, we learn as we go. As we try to get better, get more efficient, and do a better job as we go along. We got some help from the state legislature last year, and some help from the mayor, who lobbied with us and very strongly to reduce the interest rate for the payment plans. So we were able to get more people in payment plans at 6% instead of 18% interest.
You mean it had been 18%?
18%. It still is 18% for a non-owner occupant. So for a landlord or business owner, they're still paying 18% a year on the taxes. So that you can't get out of trouble if you're paying 18%.
No.
As if you don't pay your taxes on time, you're going to fall further and further behind. So the new law, the interest reduction agreement, allows the homeowners who own the property and live in the property to have the principal residence there. They can get the 6% per year, which is really nice.
That's a nice percentage rate.
And the down payment is based on the base tax, and that base tax is what the city turns over to the county. Each year in March, the city gives us a file of delinquent taxes. So that amount of money is it's 10% of the base tax. So if they owe 3 years of back taxes, we base the down payment on the payment plan on the base tax, not on what was accumulated over the time.
Oh, really?
So then they pay 10% down of the base tax, and then 3% a month of the base of the total. So it's very, very affordable. And there's really no reason why anyone who lives in a home and owns their home should lose their property.
Right,
There's
because that's a heartbreaking thing
It is.
to see people, and especially some of these seniors who have been in their properties 30, 40 years.
They worked all their life. They put money into the home, raised their families, and now they're faced with going somewhere else. You know,
That's hard.
moving itself is
It's
traumatic.
traumatic.
It's just moving,
I just,
and then
I always say if I move, I'm just taking my toothbrush and my purse, because it's just, you think of the things you accumulate over
right.
the years.
And you say, why didn't I throw this away? You know,
I
why didn't I
know.
get rid of this stuff?
But you know, we have emotional attachment to things.
Yeah.
But I learned about that last year because I had a flood. You know, when
Okay.
the flood came last
Oh
year,
yes, yes.
I had that issue, and I lost photos, and that really, that cut me to the core.
Oh,
It
I
really
know.
did.
Those are good memories.
Yeah, you can't, all you can,
Yeah.
you do have memories, but there were other things that, you know, washer, dryer, all those things. I mean, I had a big one, everything had floated around, but that was a devastating thing. But, you know, if you have insurance, you could get that stuff.
Well, I had insurance, and it didn't help me for my flood. I got water department issues and all that. I haven't resolved it yet.
Wow.
I'm fighting with that issue.
Wow, the water department. They're
yeah,
interesting in and of
so-
itself, you know. That's
Yeah,
that's an
that's
interesting
another discussion,
That's
yeah.
a whole nother discussion. So hopefully people can find interest and they buy these properties. Besides homes, you have apartment buildings.
We'll have any type of property, vacant lots.
What about churches?
Well, we have churches some churches sold in the auction.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because a lot of churches have a building fund. And it seems like it might be cheaper to go on to the auction block.
Well, you know, the thing about churches that I don't understand is why they're not tax exempt anyway. See, you know, what churches don't understand a lot of times is that just because you have a tax exemption from the IRS for income tax, it doesn't translate to having tax exemption for property tax. You have to apply to the city, and the city has to then grant you an exemption for property taxes. So there's no reason why a church should be paying taxes if they're using it for their nonprofit purposes.
Yeah.
But if they don't know and they haven't explored that issue with the city, then we get the taxes and we take action against them. You know.
So you're saying in the 48219 area, the 48221,
48214,
48214, where is that?
I was looking at the zip code map the other day. We have one up on the wall in the
Yeah.
office because we wanted to kind of track where the activity, most of the activity was. And
Right.
if you go from Lasser east on 8 Mile to 8 Mile to McNichols,
Right,
from Lasser to Livernois,
right.
that's when the majority of the properties were sold.
Serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the majority of the dollars also, in terms
Wow.
of the numbers and the dollars.
And what about, I'm going to ask you, what about that Midtown area?
Well, there's not too much being foreclosed in that
Yeah,
area
no.
at all. 48202, I think it is, and 482, I think it's 48202.
I just asked. I just
That's
threw
north
that out.
of Midtown, but
Right,
a little
right,
bit north,
right.
yeah.
I just thought I'd ask about
there's
that.
not much vacancy and not much foreclosure. People are paying their taxes there.
They're
Believe me.
trying to stay.
They want to stay.
They
yeah.
want to stay. Well, this has been quite informative. So let's kind of recap.
Okay.
Starting today, people could go online and register.
Right. Wayne County Treasurer, MI.com. If they have questions, they can contact us by going to WCT Auction at WayneCounty.com. WCT Auction at WayneCounty.com, or call us at 313-224-2864.
Let's say that number one more time.
313-224-2864.
Okay. So any of you out there who are interested in some property, go online, wherever you can go online. You know, so much is being done on the computer now.
Yeah.
So much. I mean, I'm a computer whiz. I don't mind, but a lot of people are just trying to learn the computer.
Many people pull out their phones, you know.
Yeah, well, the
Well,
phone is
well,
a
they're
computer.
bidding. Yeah, it's a computer. They pull out the phone and they're bidding on the phone while they're paying for other properties. They're bidding on different ones. So,
More power to them.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, so pay attention. We have the commercials running all day about this. I think it's an opportunity. See what you could do, because it would be good for people to get this property. We start occupying Detroit again.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and I'm sorry about the people. What if some people think they're they might be losing their home. Let's just say that right now because of property taxes, they can still call. They haven't lost it all the way.
Well, if it's in foreclosure, it's already been through the first auction.
Oh.
But what happened between the two auctions, between this past Monday and today, we allowed people to come in and pay their back taxes if it didn't get purchased in the first auction.
Oh, okay.
So if it went to foreclosure,
Oh, that's good.
it went to the first auction, it didn't sell, they can come in with all the back taxes they owe. Plus, they have to pay a $500 auction fee because we put that on when it goes to the September auction, and then they can get the property back.
Well, thank you, Mr. Sabree. I
All right.
really appreciate it. This was great
Well,
information.
On behalf of our treasurer, Raymond Wojtowicz, I want to thank you for inviting us on the show.
I like him because he says, we don't want your house. You know, I see
That's
his
right.
commercials.
We're not in the business of real estate management.
No,
Not
I
really.
know.
We're not.
Well, stay tuned, everyone, for my next segment with Mr. Bill Randall, who has come all the way from Birmingham, England.